Hey, hi everyone. Welcome to another session on Minikube. So, in our previous session, we have taken this particular example like how to deploy a sample app on Minikube. So now, in this session, we will be doing our custom deployment. Okay, and apart from this, like we will be covering the ingress part as well. So we will be taking up this particular example. All right, so let's get on with the implementation. So before we start, in case you have missed the previous two sessions, so just refer them so that you will get the context and all. All right. All right. So last time we have deployed Hello Minikube service, and this time we will be doing our own custom deployment. So we'll be deploying Nginx. So let's get on with kubectl. So what we are doing is, as we did last time, like we are just creating a deployment. So last time we have deployed Hello Minikube. This time we will be deploying Nginx and hyphen image. So the option will be using Nginx. Kubectl create deployment Nginx, and let's quickly check. Alright, so Nginx is deployed. Now let me expose it. So we'll be using previous command itself. Instead of create, we'll just put expose, and so image is not needed because container is already it's available. So instead of image, we will be using type. What type of service we want to expose? So node port, and on which port. So remember, 80 is the port on which we want on which we want to expose Nginx. All right, so let's quickly check get svc. This will give us the service. So Nginx service is up. Let's just quickly check the endpoint of this particular service where we have Minikube service followed by the name of service. Its name is Nginx only. So you will get to see the details and all. So here, like, we are not using namespace, so by default it is taking namespace, and Nginx is the name of our service. 80 is the port on which it is accessible, and this is the URL. There is another way of finding URL, like if you can do hyphen URL and enter, you will get to see this. So both are same only. So now let me quickly curl it, so that just wanted to check whether it is accessible or not. So it is accessible within the container, because within the cluster, so that like I can see the welcome page. Now we will be port forwarding it in a similar way so that I can access it outside the cluster as well. In fact, like from my host machine. So let me do kubectl port forward, and then followed by address. So for the time being, let me open it from any IPv4. All right, and then SVC this is the short form of our service, and the name of our service is Nginx, followed by, so port we will be giving 900, sorry 9000, followed by 80 is our port on which we have started it in the container itself. So all right, so let me quickly try to access it, but before accessing it, let me copy the server IP. So now I'm trying to access it from the host machine colon. So what is the port? Okay, 9000. So colon 9000, it should be up and running. Yeah, so we are able to, like deploy Nginx, and which is accessible outside host as well. Last time we did this um, example which is already there, and this time instead of using this image, what we did, we are using Nginx. This is done. Let me stop it. All right, so now we are done from this service part. Now there is another thing which I would like to show you. So this is ingress. So like basically it's an API object which will help us to route the external traffic to our cluster. So with the help of ingress object, you will be able to route, or you will create certain rules through which your backend or cluster will be accessible. So no worries, I will explain this to you. So we will be using this particular example, this Minikube add-ons. I have already enabled it, so this is not needed. And then it comes with this manifest as well. So before going into the deep, let me just explain you this manifest. And prior to this, okay, we'll explain this first. So let me copy this one, and let's use this one. So basically this is pod.yml, not pod.yml, this is your pod manifest. So like it's a YML wherein like you need to provide the specification. So for an example, kind, it will ask for like what kind of Kubernetes object is this, whether it is a service, it is a namespace, it is an ingress, or what. So in our case it is pod. So every manifest you will find kind, you will find API version, then followed by the API version. So generally organization will use their org key value pair kind of things, but just to simplify, we are keeping it v1 only. Then followed by the metadata. So as the name itself suggests, it is the metadata, like the internal data related to this pod. So more information regarding this particular pod. So first one is name. So the name of this pod is foo-app. Okay, followed by label. So in labels, you are able to see this one, app, which is foo. Now you guys must be wondering, name is there, then why we are adding labels? So label would be very handy. I'll show you when we just go through with the manifest of service, then you will get to know why label is used. Okay, so for the time being, two metadata information. First is the name of pod, second one is the label, and label is tagged with app. So app name is foo for this particular pod. Alright, then you will see this spec. So spec is nothing, it is just telling you the specification. So basically this pod contains container. So it could be single, it could be multiples. That's why we are using containers, followed by the name of container. So name of container is foo-app. So it could be different as well. So don't get confused with the name of this metadata of pod and the name of container. But if we keep it same and logical, that will be more prominent for us. The reason being, like whoever is reading this manifest will get to know what exactly this particular manifest is doing. Okay, so for an example, this is configuration related to pod, and then followed by name, labels, and other specification. Then what is the image which is used for this container? So that is this image. Let's say in our example, custom example, we haven't used this image, we have used Nginx. So instead of this, we can put Nginx, just for the understanding purpose only. All right, so this is the pod related manifest. Let me quickly copy another pod. So there are two pods in this one, and I'll tell you why they are using two. So if you do a comparison, So there is not much difference. Now this time they have just changed the name of this pod. Okay, so this is pod number 1, this is pod number 2, both are using same image, but the container name, labels, and the pod name, these three entities are different, but the manifest configuration remains same. All right, so let me just copy one of the manifest for the service part. So copy it and let me paste it here. So service, again, like we need to tell we need to like specify what kind of object is this. So this is not pod, this is service. And as you can recall from our previous video, like whenever we wanted to access pod endpoint, we will be using service. So this time we are using service. The name of service is foo-service, and if you just check for the specification, so see, under specification you will see selector, and selector is nothing, it is the same, the label which you are using. So that's why now you can correlate this. We are using labels so that your service will get to know which pod I need to pick for you know like uh, for exposing the endpoint and all. So this is the mapping. All right, then port 8080. So this is the service for pod 1, because it is foo service, and it is looking for selector with app foo, which is this, right? Now let me quickly copy this one. No, not this one, the second service. Alright, so again this service is also more or less same only, like instead of there is a change in the name of service, and again the selector is different. It is picking up another second label, the label which we are using for our second pod, which is this one, right? So basically first pod one, we are using two pod, foo app and bar app. Then we are using two service, foo-service and bar-service, right? So two pods, two service. And then here comes the ingress, which is like defining. This is important. So let me quickly copy paste it. Okay, so here API version is our networking path, networking.k8s.io/v1. Okay, and then like what kind of object is this? So this is ingress. This is not pod service, or this is not a your PVC or anything. This is ingress. Now the metadata information is showing the name of this particular object, which is example hyphen ingress. Now in this ingress, it is bound by, like in specification, it is bound by certain rules. So based on these rules only it will decide like on which way I need to select, which service I need to pick, where I need to reroute the traffic. So in this particular case, under rules, it is saying, let's say if some HTTP traffic comes in, like, and if path ends up with this one, like /4, then you just need to reroute this particular request on service this one. And service this one, it means it will expose pod 1, and this is the port number and all. Let's say if the path ends up with /bar, then you will pick another backend which is pod 2. So see, basically this configuration contains the rules based on this, based on which we will decide like where to route the request, the incoming request. Alright, so I'll show you one more thing. With the help of this example you will get to see. So let's say incoming traffic. So this incoming traffic will come to your ingress object. Okay, now the ingress will decide on will decide on your cluster API rules. So cluster API rules means these rules. So based on this, Ingress will decide which service to follow, and then this will choose the SVC1, or it could be SVC2. So like based on these rules, it will decide whether I need to route this request to service 1 or I need to route it to service 2. So in our case, let's say if the request ends with the /4, then it will be rerouting to first. Otherwise, if it is coming with /bar, then it will be rerouting to service 2. All right, and once the service like we are able to identify which service we are targeting, then service you can like can further reroute these requests. So let me quickly copy paste this for you so that, all right, so let's say service 1 is having 2 pods, so P1 and P2. So again, like based on this service request, service will decide which pod we need to expose. So 1 or 2. In our case, we are only having a single pod, so service does not have the choice to select the pod. Similar is the case with this one, service 2. So with the help of this, you will get to know like what exactly we are trying to do. So whatever traffic is coming to our cluster, it will first hit the ingress object, and then based on our cluster IP rules, API rules, we will decide which service we need to expose. And why this is needed, because like this will make your cluster as a single point entry. So once you get the single point entry, it is very good for debugging and diagnostic purpose as well. All right, so we should end this video here only. In our next video, we'll be covering the practical implementation. So thanks for watching this. Thank you.